Welcome, 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 guys. Meet me by the river. That's where we are right now. And, just checking in to have a quick little conversation with you guys. So, come on in, come on in, come on in. And let us just talk about this. I don't usually go back and forth with, context, but, persons have been reaching out. And I just want to share a little bit more about this situation with Mr. Mark Golding in the context of, his dual citizenship. All right, so welcome, welcome, welcome. Please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription. All right, yeah, welcome, guys. Like and share as you come on in. All right, so welcome, welcome. So again, just want to have a quick conversation. Thank you for the like there about, Mark Golding, and just to share the latest information as we have them. So welcome, welcome. And let me know who is here. So as you come, pop in and, just share in the chat. We're not able to do, calling right now, as you can see, based on the fact that I am by the river. But, we can still have a quick discussion. All right, so definitely, thank you for coming over and sharing. So by now, I guess we all know, that Mark Golding shared, I guess, Sunday into Monday, somewhere there. But that information came by virtue of the Jamaica Gleaner, that is also a citizen of the UK. All right, so lots of persons, have things to say about that in the context of Mr. Golding being a citizen of the UK. All right, so we have had, some conversation around this, situation with Mr. Golding. And while we know that it is not illegal, so it's not against the Constitution, because the Constitution has that in terms of support, right? Thank you so much, Matt Morgan. Thanks for liking and sharing. Awesome. So we know, right, that the Constitution provides for that. So legally, Mr. Golding is not doing anything wrong, as we are now, talking about this issue. He's not doing anything wrong legally. So my understanding, though, and this is where I guess some of us are having, issues, in the sense that if we can recall, Mr. Golding, came out and shared that in the context of decolonization, so that is pretty much, and I felt that perhaps he was using that term loosely. In the context of decolonization, we cannot have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the King's Yard. No. If we look at the other situations, because context definitely matters, if we look at the other, I guess, surrounding situation that gave rise to that statement, it came about from the Constitution Reform Committee, where the PNP decided that they weren't going to sign off on the report. And, we had the back and forth between the government and the opposition in terms of, what they had agreed to, the phase approach, and the opposition is saying no, they had concerns, and, they're not interested in a phase approach. And so I guess by virtue of that, Mr. Golding made the statement that, we can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. I believe it was perhaps within that same press conference, and I need to add this to the conversation as well, that they called a press conference, the PNP. But there was something raised about dual citizens, from non-Commonwealth countries by the opposition, to participate in the parliament, right? So as you know, guys, right now, Jamaica's head of state is King Charles, all right? So we still have the monarchy, or, as we're part of that. So the head of state is the king, right? And so what my understanding of this situation is that, we're trying to move away from the monarchy in terms of becoming a republic. So based on, what I have heard and read, I guess that was in essence, trying to become a republic. Now, if you look at some countries, for example, recently Barbados, they became a republic, but they still maintain the Privy Council. So I don't even want to talk about the Privy Council, because this is not about the Privy Council or CCJ debate, right? So it's more about now Jamaica and the term being used here, decolonization. All right, so to bring that back into context here and into the focus in terms of Mr. Golding's, dual citizenship, Mr. Golding is saying can't have 1 foot in, 1 foot out of the king's yard, right? Perfect. So if it is that we are, sincere about decolonization, then, he has a point. Why is it that we are trying to move away from, the king, and we want to retain the Privy Council? So he has a point there. Fair enough. But I guess, and again, let me not just say but for a lot of persons who have been reaching out, the big issue is, I guess, Mr. Golding's, ethical perspective, in the sense where he is a British citizen. Remember, he was the one who brought this attention, brought this to the fore. He called the press conference, and I am going to say he made a very fair point, right? To say you can't have 1 foot in at the king's yard, right? It's either we in or we out. But when you go and you analyze this situation further, and we now know that Mr. Golding is a citizen of the UK, really, how does that look for someone who is a citizen of the UK, who is still in the King's Palace, King's Yard, to say to Jamaicans, who are solely Jamaicans, right, that we cannot become a republic, at least start the process? So that for me is a big issue. And so when you think about it in that way, and I would say in terms of the principle and not necessarily the legality of it, because we already established that he's not doing anything illegal. But one could ask the question, how can someone who is a British citizen say to Jamaicans, listen, or stop Jamaicans from moving, from making a first step in trying to get out of the King's Yard? Right? So if it is that Jamaica is going to make baby steps in terms of leaving the King's Yard, why would Mr. Golding want to interfere with that process? And so again, as I said, he has a very valid point in the sense that we cannot have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. But I am still asking the question, why would he be a British citizen and, want to make that statement? And I feel that that's where a lot of persons find it problematic, because it's now about, it's more about the principle, the ethics, the optics, as opposed to the legality of it. Welcome, Minecraft. Welcome back. And I see your point there. But as you perhaps might imagine here, Minecraft, I am not taking a political stance in this one. And I believe I am fair to Mr. Golding in the sense that, he made a valid point. But then his point kind of becomes pointless when he's a UK citizen and at the same time blocking, let's say, a baby step toward leaving out of the King's Yard. How do you justify that, Minecraft? How do you justify that? So if someone is trying to get out of somebody's yard and they say, all right, you know what? You give me this little space for me to stay. So what I am going to do is that I'm going to start by just moving my suitcase, just packing up my suitcase and just try to move out, right? And then somebody now just come and say to you, say, oh yeah, move go over there, so. And you never know, so the person live over there. Now, say, for example, the person rent the place. You never know, so the person live over there. And the person I got tell you, say, no go over there, man. You still landlord there. You know good. You better you take out everything and just go somewhere else. Nobody put nothing over there. And then you find out that the person perhaps did not want you to come there, because they feel like perhaps you're going to get a little better space than them or whatever. You're going to get a renovated space as opposed to, what they're in. And so sometimes, we have to look at situation. But now let us get to, guys, hit the like button. We can do better with the like and share, and also hit the subscription button. And, let us also look at this situation from this perspective as well. Mr. Golding apparently did an interview this morning with TVJ, and I guess he shared that he's willing to relinquish the citizenship of the UK if Jamaicans say he should. So, by virtue of Mr. Golding making that statement, I get the sense that he understands the situation in which he is in at this point, and he understands that while it is legal, he has an ethical, I guess, responsibility to do the right thing, right? And to me, you don't need Jamaicans to debate and to say you need to do it, right? So if it is that, you want to become the next prime minister, you're the prime minister in waiting, do the right thing. How do you feel if you should have a prime minister in this country where the laws may not apply to that person? And so we have to think about this carefully. And I heard the prime minister talking about, and also the opposition talking about persons with dual citizenship to sit in parliament. I don't know if they're going to do that. I don't like that. I don't like that. And that is why I'm saying, in the context of our constitution and in the context of, constitutional reform, in the context of decolonization, we really need to understand what it means to truly decolonize, right? It cannot be a situation where we have laws saying persons from, let's say, Australia, Canada, Commonwealth countries can just come in Jamaica, I guess, be here for a particular time, right? And then, they can be in our parliament. As a Jamaican, I am not comfortable with that. And that is something that is as a result of colonialism, I suspect. And so it is time for us to clean up our constitution. And it's time for us for the constitution to reflect a post-colonial era. So the next thing when we're talking about decolonization, it cannot just be becoming a republic, guys. I have heard lots of people, when you listen to perhaps, like perhaps your grandmother, your great grandmother, and they talk, they will say they don't know the reason why Jamaica leave from under a queen because we suffer, we're not really independent. And so we cannot make this kind of mistake by just becoming a republic and allowing that to be symbolic and then say that we have decolonized. No, decolonization is more than just that. It's about fixing the laws. It's a mindset. It's a lot in that context. So it's not just about just becoming a republic. It's a process where we have to unlearn, right? Relearn, and then eventually start learning. You can't just become a republic. Even if we switch to the CCJ, it's more than just that. And I don't believe our political leaders, they understand the true meaning of decolonization on both sides. On both sides. We don't. I don't believe, our leaders understand what it truly means to decolonize. Because when I think about what they're doing in terms of the constitutional reform, that's not decolonization. That's just a little step. It's a lot in terms of educating the Jamaican people of what this, would look like. And, we need to have a voice in this process as well. Right? And that is definitely important for us as a country, right? So yeah, it's definitely more than just that. Inez, welcome. Thanks for sharing in the chat there. So yes, guys, it's a lot, and again, we can definitely do better. And as we have talked about on this platform before, now is not the time to really be doing constitution reform. We are in, the election climate. So we're in that election season. So now is definitely not the time to be talking about, constitutional reform. We perhaps need to take a break from that and then try again when, the election is out. Now is definitely not a good time. And, we need to get, all our leaders on one accord when it comes to Jamaica. We can't have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of Jamaica. So I am not for that whole parliamentary MPs, member of parliaments, having, dual citizenship and being able to sit in the Jamaican, parliament. No, it's the same thing. Because if we can have a problem with Mark Golding being a British citizen, we can have a problem with any other MP who is a citizen of another country. Fair is fair. And we just need to get it right. We need to get it right. Another issue too, as I said, like, both, leaders, they're talking about persons with dual citizenship and, to serve as, MPs. And as I said, I don't like that. I think last evening I said perhaps we need to consider the whole notion of voting, right? Persons in the diaspora having the ability to vote. And then after the live ended, I was kind of thinking about it, and I said, perhaps that is not even a good idea either, because you will have people not living in Jamaica and, influencing what happens in Jamaica when they don't even live there. So we have to think about these things carefully and, try to understand, what it is that we really need for Jamaica land we love. It's not about just politics. It's not about the green and the orange. It's the black, green, and gold, right? And so we need to have that understanding at some point where it's going to be, country first over everything else. All right, doing a quick roll call just to see who else is here. And again, we can do better with the likes. So just hit that like button. That would be awesome. And share and hit the subscription button. And if you like this space, this is a safe space where we share and learn from each other. We usually go live where we have the opportunity to call in and share. But based on what is happening now, I just had to do this, quick pop-up. But, oftentimes that's how we do it here. So if this is, a space that you like, and again, we keep it very respectful. We do not disrespect anyone. So that would be, awesome to have you here as we continue to grow stronger together. All right, so pretty much that in that context. And again, the mere fact that Mr. Golding can say, if Jamaicans, all right, Mats Morgan, you're still here, wonderful. The mere fact that, Mr. Golding can say that if Jamaicans, ask him to relinquish his citizenship from the UK, then he'll do that. It tells me that he knows the right thing to do in a situation like this. It tells me that he knows that the optics, the ethics of it is not good. And so, you don't, Mr. Golding, you don't need the public to demand you to do it. All right? If you know that it is the right thing to do, then, just do it. Just do it, man. And you don't need a debate. You can definitely do it. I don't know if this audio is going to play through, but let's see. Let's see. If the Jamaican people feel... All right, let's see if we have anything here. I'm trying to see how best I could play this, but perhaps it's not going to come through very clearly because again, we're not at our usual spot where we can get this done. All right, so all right, I'm just trying to get to where he says. All right, so this is an article, and what is happening here, this is from Nationwide. The opposition leader also told Smile Jamaica he would continue to pray and reflect on the issue before deciding what to do. Meanwhile, Mr. Golding says he hasn't been using his UK passport for a very long time and intends to give it up. The opposition leader says since 2012, when he came into government, he decided not to use his UK passport. According to Mr. Golding, he has a UK visa in his Jamaican diplomatic passport. All right, so just to share a little bit of context there with you in that situation. And, again, I strongly believe that he's perhaps going to give it up. And, because if for someone who has spent, so much of their life in Jamaica and, mean Jamaica well, from all indications, then I believe he's going to give it up. I believe he's going to give it up, and perhaps now is the time, and try to get back the trust, or let's not say the trust, perhaps more confidence is a better word, the confidence of Jamaican people. But I feel that he's going to give it up. And perhaps you should not look at it as, the prime minister, they're going to have, one card up in terms of, having something to say, but just doing it because as a matter of principle, it is the right thing to do ethically. And again, I am not talking about, anything legal in terms of the legality of it, because we all know that he's not doing anything wrong legally. All right. And so, again, too, I am coming from the place where we're talking about decolonization, right? And so Mr. Mark Golding, again, was the one who called the press conference to say we can have 1 foot in and 1 foot out of the King's Yard. For me, that is the problematic part, It's as if he pulled this attention to himself, and then, now, you have, you are in the King's Yard. So, when you look at it that way, then you can understand why some persons are saying, okay, this is why you're blocking, Jamaica from becoming a republic. And that may not be true, but based on the fact that he is a British, citizen, people would want to just believe that and, buy into that. So again, that part of it is definitely, unfortunate. And I believe that Mr. Golding is going to relinquish it. And, people, I would say, be Jamaicans first. Would you want to have a prime minister who can fly out on the next, what they have from Jamaica? British Airways or Virgin to the UK if something should happen, And so in that situation, we need to try and, understand that. You understand? Where you want a prime minister where the laws of Jamaica may not apply to them if they decide that they're going to leave, or in those situations. So we want to think about that. And again, I suspect that he's going to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do, and he knows, because it's not about the legality of it. And as everyone should know by now, he's not doing anything wrong legally. My problem, and I guess for some people, they don't see it as he's okay, for some persons. And, my problem is the fact that when we're talking about decolonization, it's not looking good in that context. Definitely not looking good in that context. And again, for persons who are just joining, as I said before, he made a very valid point. Mr. Golding made a very valid point in the sense that if we're going to move away from the monarchy, from the king, we cannot have 1 foot in and 1 foot out. The problem is he is still in the King's Yard. And so I believe he's going to do the right thing to ensure that, our country, Jamaica, land we love, can get ourselves out of the King's Yard once and for all. And I suspect that he's going to do the right thing, given, what he has said in the past. And, I would love to talk to Mr. Golding, or even the Prime Minister, whoever wants to talk, and even the Constitution Reform Committee. Because we want them to understand, we want to get I would like to get an idea from them how they're viewing decolonization in terms of constitutional reforms. Because you cannot be decolonizing and you're not going to look at certain laws. That we need to get our constitution, out of that colonial, get it to a post-colonial era. So we need to rid ourselves from, the colonial legacy that, is pretty much intertwined as best as we can. So when we have certain laws, obviously, they just don't reflect, our present day context, Jamaican context. And so in that sense, we need to do the right thing in that sense. So that's pretty much about it, guys. Let me just check, guys. It's a little bit different in terms of trying to see, who is here. All right, so let me see. Hopefully, Shirley, welcome. I don't know if you're still here. But, we just need to do the right thing because it's the right thing to do. All right. So I don't know who else is still here, but that's our little river chat for today. Again, I just wanted to connect with you guys so that, we can have a little conversation about, this situation, and we'll keep you updated as it relates to any other developments. I also know that they tabled that report from the Constitutional Reform Committee there in Parliament, so I'm going to check that out and see what's going on there, and perhaps we'll have another update, maybe tomorrow sometimes, but I'll try to do my best to check in with you guys. And again, if you like this safe space, please remember to hit the like button, the share button, and the subscription button. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please remember to exercise self-care. Take care of yourselves, and blessings and love, everyone. Blessings and love, and see you in the next live. All right. So again, like, share, subscribe, and thank you so much for keeping this space a safe one. Really appreciate the diverse perspectives. There is so much richness in diversity. We can definitely learn from each other. Again, thank you so much, and I'll see you in the next live. Hopefully you are enjoying this view as well. Yeah, hoping that you were able to have a good view of this river here. All right, so bye for now, guys. See you soon. Take care. Blessings and love, everyone.